All right, we're live. This is Desert Valley's Live, City Talk, Episode 3. I'm here with Kyle Blades. Thanks for joining us, Kyle.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Yeah, so I had your number on Facebook and contacted you, but this is our first time meeting in person, so it's really cool to see your face finally.
Yeah, it is good to it's good to see you, and I want to say I appreciate you guys doing this because the Ridgecrest, we need to get up with the times, and we need to be doing things like this, conversing in a different medium than the way we have before, especially with, we got the council chambers have been closed off for months now, and the people don't like it, and I don't think there's one council member that appreciates it either. But the city manager wants to protect the staff and make sure that there's not a lot of traffic in there. So I get it. So things like this is great. So I appreciate you guys doing it.
Right, with COVID, it's a little rough environment, and it's sad that people can't join you in the city council. But also it's a little dry on that YouTube channel sometimes. So this is kind of nice, right?
This is real nice. I think we purposely don't turn the comments on YouTube.
Right. It might be a little rough.
Otherwise, it might get a little rough, might get a little rowdy, which is okay. It would be fine by me. I miss people being in the chambers because you want to look at people in the face when, especially even if it's a small decision. Like I think there's a decision coming up on the next agenda to talk about ADU fees, right? It seems like a small thing when you're dealing with city stuff all the time, but $75 could be a lot to somebody.
Right. Yeah.
A small fees for anything that could impact somebody, right? So I'd rather look at somebody in the face when we're talking about these things, and so you can see people's body language, or you can see that they understand that this is the justification for what's going on.
Right. And just before we went live, we were talking a little bit about some of the decisions keep you up at night.
Yes. Yeah. I had one of the I got appointed in December, and then January I had to make the decision on whether to renew or the land deal, approve the land deal for the tribe, for the casino that they're talking about going in, and that one kept me up for months. Not months, but a month at least. When I got appointed December, we made that decision later, and I just stressed myself to death because I wanted to make sure I had researched every single angle there was to research. Because I think that as a city council person, people voted for you because of who they think you are, but you should always be going that extra mile to figure out what you're doing.
Right.
Before you get into questions, can you introduce yourself again?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So my name's Kyle Blades. I'm one of your city council members. I was appointed in December 16th, actually, 19. I served a year, and then I ran for election and was elected this time. So I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate everybody's support.
So have you lived in Ridgecrest forever? Or?
Not every single day of my life, but my mom's family's from here. My parents had moved to Arizona for a couple of years, and then I was born in Phoenix, but we moved back before I even hit kindergarten, and I've been here ever since. And my grandparents had always been really involved in the community. Every club you can think of. My grandmother was Girl Scouts, my grandfather was Boy Scouts, Elks Club, donating blood regularly, very, very good, altruistic people. And so that had an impact on me.
Right on. So what inspired you to join the city council?
Well, I'll be honest. I was asked to be on the planning commission by a city council person, and I had a lot of trepidation at the time, but I'm glad I did it because I enjoyed just learning about the city. I enjoyed digging into the fine details and understanding what's going on, understanding how the city works, seeing how the sausage is made, so to speak. That was
right.
I enjoyed it. And then when there was an open council position, I just wanted to see if I was going to be good at it, and I wanted to push myself to do something more than what I was doing. Right? And I thought, right, this is a bit egotistical, but I thought I'd be good at the job.
Sure.
Right, so I thought I would take a swing at it, and if at the end of that year I wasn't good or I wasn't receiving positive feedback from members of the city, then I wouldn't do it. But I received a lot of positive feedback, so I decided to run.
Yeah, I think in general, if nobody else can say anything else, you're very open and communicative with the community, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think, I don't think that I don't know, but I'll say that I don't think council members are trying, but as things have progressed, people receive their information differently now. And so whereas you may have thought you were being transparent before, you have to go an extra mile in a different direction to make sure people they're watching. The transparency means something different these days. We've just seen, so much social media, of course. Everybody's going to bring that up, ad nauseum. But all those platforms, if there's a platform, try to get something out there, even if it's something small. I think I put something out on Facebook talking about the 5-year road plan, because I thought, wow, as a regular person before I ever got involved in the city, I didn't know how to get this information.
Right.
Nobody was sharing it.
Go to the city building and request it. You put an application.
Right. You have to
out.
call into a meeting. I didn't even know there was so much I didn't know that I now know, especially from being on the planning commission. That, it's anyways, learning all that. I thought it would be important to keep getting that out as much as possible to anybody who wants it. And I miss a few days here and there, but.
So does that mean we'll be seeing you on TikTok to put you on out the
I don't. If I could dance,
Right.
if I could dance, I'd be on TikTok.
So, what do you personally enjoy about Ridgecrest and the benefits of living here?
So I'll say this: when I got out of the Army, which was 2008, I got out in Colorado Springs, and I loved Colorado Springs.
Oh yeah, beautiful place.
Yeah, gorgeous place, great place to be if you're, especially when you're young. It was an awesome downtown nightlife, a lot of culture. But I wanted a family. I wanted to raise a family. My wife's from here. Her family's from here. So coming back to Ridgecrest was a logical choice for us, because Ridgecrest is relatively, it's a safe place. You are a few hours from anything you could possibly want to see,
Sure.
right? If you want to get down to L.A., Disneyland, the mountains, I like camping and hiking. I'd rather be outdoors most days. So everything's good about Ridgecrest. For me, nobody likes the heat, right? But you get used to it.
Yeah, I'm from Indiana. It took me quite a while to get used to the heat here.
Yeah, it's intense. We're like I know you were overseas. When I was overseas, it felt a lot like that.
Right. A little sweaty.
Yeah. Constant sweat.
So if somebody was just moving here, how would you highlight the town? What would you say is our
I would be honest, and I think that's what a lot of people need to be about Ridgecrest. Is we shouldn't hope that it's going to be something it could never be. I know that sounds a little intense all at once, but Ridgecrest is a good place to raise a family. Ridgecrest is a good place to be if you want to be riding a dirt bike, if you like hiking, if you like just messing around outdoors. This is the place to be. The cost of living is a little bit lower, right? So that's a huge positive. Whereas if you do end up getting a job on base, okay, you're making decent money likely. So, and I know not everybody in town works on base. That's important for us to remember, but that base is our livelihood. That's what's made Ridgecrest, and I do hope that one day we get to a point where the economy within Ridgecrest diversifies a little bit, but we are what we are right now, and we need to make sure we take care of that.
Right. When I first got here, I just felt like I was in the middle of the desert with nothing to do. But, you find out this small community, people are good friends and everybody knows each other. And when you think about your kids, it's super important because, I can always call the neighbor or somebody that knows somebody where my kids are at, you know what I mean? So, back in the day, you just couldn't do that. Or if you're out in the city, they could be anywhere,
Yeah, absolutely. Like right now, the neighborhood I live in now, my next door neighbor, I'm like, hey man, I'm stepping indoors. Can you watch my kid while she plays out front?
Sure.
And he's outside working on his truck, and that's the kind of life I wanted to get back to. And so I've had people, younger people that come to work on base, and they ask me, what is there to do here?
Right.
I said, well, if you're looking for a lot of crazy nightlife, this isn't the place. But if you're looking to get jump started on life, which is where people usually end up at, that long-term goals of starting a family and building up your retirement, this is the place for that.
Yep.
And it's just when you're young, you don't want to always hear that. I know I don't want to hear it.
Right. Right. How do you encourage residents to engage in decisions for our town, either from actively joining in meetings or online for the time being?
So I think exactly what we were talking about earlier. I think social media is the best place to be, because people will call in to city council meetings when it's something specific, or if maybe somebody's told them, like, hey, you should call into this meeting or pay attention to this meeting because such and such is going on. But you don't get a lot of people, and I don't blame them, right? This isn't me knocking the public. You don't get a lot of people directly engaging consistently. You have a smaller group of people who have either been involved for a long time or have a vested interest, and so they're definitely trying to stay involved and plugged in, and that's good. That's a good thing. somebody has to do it.
Right.
But I think you have to engage on social media and talk to people. It's not always easy to stop in the middle of Albertsons or Stater Brothers and talk to people about certain issues. But I've definitely done it, and I think it's been positive.
Sure. And I would imagine some of the more mature community members are more engaged more frequently. And so we need to put that out there for, the younger generation, at least accessible on the social media sites and stuff, and get them interested at least enough to say, hey, it's coming up. You need to start making decisions too, right?
Right. No, that's a very good point. That exact topic's come up more than a few times. How do you get the younger people involved? Well, first they have to care.
Right.
And that's they have to care, and if they care, then that's good. That's what they should. Same thing when you're voting. It doesn't matter if it's a national, state level, county to city level. You should care about who you're voting for. It shouldn't be a name on a tick box. And so I think it's the same thing with these city issues. Some of them are very intense. They have huge implications for our future.
Sure.
I mean, the decisions that your city council is making, or any of the rest of the boards, the water board, the GA, any of those, the decisions they make now are affecting us for 30, 40, 50 years. And likewise, we're feeling the impact right now of either good or bad decisions that were made years ago. So just getting people to care, I think the best thing is you're transparent. You're explaining to people, hey, this is the plan to fix our roads. And people are like, you know what? Just drove in here and my road's horrible.
Right.
Explain to me what is the plan. And I think when you just touch on issues that people want to hear about or should hear about, that's the key.
Right. Get them involved.
Yeah.
So how do you, there's an open seat on council, and what are you looking for in a council member?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question.
I mean, this is how you came in. There was an empty seat, and
That's exactly how I came in. Yeah, there was an empty seat, and when I applied, I applied with the application they had, and then I filled out a letter as well saying, I hope you consider me, but if there's somebody better, consider them in front of me. And then every single one of the council members called me, and we did like an interview process. I think it's going to be a little bit different now, but I'd be happy to do that with anybody. I'm looking for somebody who genuinely cares about this valley. Right? There's, it's easy to say, but no ulterior motives. As long as you care about this town, you care about this valley, and you take serious the position that you're holding. Because I hold a lot of respect and regard for that, being up on that dais. It means a lot to me. I feel like I carry the weight of it.
Sure.
When I'm up there, and I feel like that's how it should be. I feel like that's how all of our elected representatives should be. They shouldn't get stuck in that rut where they're just used to wearing the suit and making decisions. That's not really.
I showed up.
Yeah, I showed up, or you called somebody to proxy vote for you right now. That should never be how it is. Not in my opinion. I feel like you should, carry the weight. Like we were saying earlier, sometimes you're going to make decisions that just weigh you down. I've made a few of them that just really, they weigh heavy on me, and not anybody else apparently, because I'll step out in town and people are like, oh, didn't even know.
Right, it was even happening.
Don't even know it was happening, but it was heavy on me. But it should be. That's part of the responsibility. I mean, you get that position, you're making those decisions. You should carry the weight.
Yeah, you're making decisions for the people that are here, people that could be here in the future, and
absolutely
future generations. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that's what comes out of our next council member. I know we've had a few applications, I think 6 or 7, and I know that a lot of them, I saw a lot of the names, a lot of them do care about this valley, so it's not going to be an easy decision, but that's what I'm looking for. Honesty, that want to do the right thing, the care for the town. I think once you check those off, even if I disagree with you, which I think I've disagreed with every single person on that board at one point or another.
Sure. So you're saying that's okay to come in and disagree with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that just basic philosophy, right? You don't you don't critically think unless somebody's arguing the other side or disagreeing with you a little bit. So You're not going to get any better if everybody's just agreeing with you in a circle. That's not gonna help the town. It's not gonna help you personally.
That's a good segue into another question. With voting right now, it doesn't. You can do 3-2 votes, yea or nay. Do you feel like that's proper? Do you feel like it should be unanimous decision for a board to make a decision, or that council?
Yeah, no, good question. So I do feel like that is the appropriate way to do it, because you'll have we've had more than one 3-2 decision up there on that dais, and I think that's how it should be because, you know, when people voted for you and they asked you to be up there, you're representing them directly, I think, in a lot of cases, or at least they hope you are. And sometimes you're gonna disagree. There should never be a case where you look around and you concede just for the sake of keeping, harmony, keeping
Inside the council chambers.
right.
Yeah.
I don't think that should ever be the case. And people should feel you be passionate about your position, about some of these issues. They should feel that passion. It doesn't have to be negative passion.
Sure.
Right? Even if you disagree, you can just be intense. You could want things to change. You could be angry they're not changing. And then something we talked about earlier, and then that segues into you're passionate up until that vote's made. You know, but when you go home and you come back the next time, you're there behind. That's my opinion is you're there right behind the city. Whatever that decision was, you're there trying to support it and trying to get, because when you undermine and try to go around decisions that were made, it just makes the city as a whole look bad. It makes everybody look foolish. Kind of like being in the military. You didn't undermine your leaders. You never disagreed with them.
Right. Once the decision was made,
it wasn't.
on board.
Yeah, decisions were made. Okay, you get on board. You put on your rucksack. You drink some water, and you move out.
We're in the same truck. I'm not going to pop the tire.
Exactly. But up until that point, disagree with it, and then offline, in person, I explain my decisions all the time.
Sure.
And people will say, "Hey, would you still make the same decision?" I go, "Yeah," because if I got to the point of making that decision on that dais, I didn't do it, on a whim.
Right.
So
some thought behind it.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, I would not change my decision, but I'm sure there's going to be some cases where I'll be, I'm sure.
Okay. So, what's the council meeting tomorrow? What's the agenda?
So I don't have the agenda in front of me, but I know that one of them is we're talking about 80 accessory dwelling units.
Okay.
Is one of them, and we had already okayed it, the ordinances for them to be put in. The state of California is pushing it. They want for people to be able to create these small units in their backyards. They're hoping it's just one more way they can help the housing crisis in the state of California.
Sure.
And so we're just setting a fee for that. The other thing is a discussion. We want to at least discuss how we're going to appoint, how the city council is going to appoint, or there is always the option we could do a special election, but I think that we're probably past that point now. There's a lot of legal jargon in there, but basically you can do one of two things. You can either hold a special election, which is pretty costly and has to be done within, I think, 2 months. So don't quote me, but I think that's the case.
Sure.
And then the other way is to appoint. So we have to get moving on that appointment process. And so we're going to try to do that as openly and transparent as is humanly possible. And I think our mayor's working on that.
Excellent.
And city manager.
So there's a presentation on Safely Surrendered Baby Awareness Month. Can you
Yes.
tell me a little about
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up because it's something I meant to elaborate on a little bit. There is you can safely surrender your babies. I wish I would have brought the. Do you mind if I grab my phone?
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
Because I actually had a little note on that. It's important. It is important that it happens here. I was just texting somebody about it. So you can drop, to safely surrender a baby, you can drop the baby off at the hospital or a fire station. Then the baby and the mother get a bracelet, and the bracelet has to stay on the mom, and she has 14 days to reconsider. The baby cannot be older than 72 hours. So, sorry, that's just reading from text, but I just wanted to make sure I got that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's pretty important.
Yep. I think it's important because I know that, before my wife and I adopted my daughter, we went through a lot of training over in Bakersfield on a lot of babies get surrendered. That's just, and I think that's a good thing if you're surrendering a baby to people who can take care of it if you can't. So,
I mean, it might be a taboo topic and nobody feels comfortable talking about it, but you know what? That information needs to be out there, and if there's somebody out there that's considering, that they need to do something else or go a different route, then there's that option.
Yeah. I think in my opinion, nail on the head. It is a little bit taboo. A lot of people makes people uncomfortable thinking about such a topic, but I think it being taboo is what causes some kids harm.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Then let's just pretend like it's not there, but it's very much there.
Right.
And the system's set up to take. And there's a lot of families out there waiting for programs like the foster to adopt program. Sometimes babies, when they're surrendered, they can be placed rather quickly in a home, because there's so many families, couples lined up waiting they have their homes are open, they're inspected constantly, they're registered with the county, they're registered with the state. I know before I adopted my daughter, we were live scanned every couple of months. And so there's families set up and ready to take care of these babies.
So where can people tune in to watch that tomorrow?
So the YouTube, if you search when you're in the YouTube engine, City of Ridgecrest, you'll find the City of Ridgecrest seal. And then once you get to that City of Ridgecrest page, you'll see the various links. And then when it's time, it'll pop up live, and you can just click on it and watch it there. And you can always watch it afterwards. It usually takes a few hours overnight for the video to get processed and uploaded, and then you can watch it the next day usually.
And is that something that people can call in and discuss?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Absolutely. And so the agenda usually goes out to all the local media, and then I try to, not every time I try to put it out on social media, but there are phone numbers you can call into, and it's good if, it seems kind of boring to most people, but if you don't mind, I'll explain the agenda a little bit.
Yeah.
So some of the basic mechanics I think a lot of people don't understand. There is a public comment for things that are not on the agenda. So you can call in and say anything you want, right? I got a problem with the street light on the corner of Downs and Los Flores. Okay. But if you want to talk about something that's on the agenda that the staff has already vetted and created reports for, then you have to wait until that moment in time. And so it's the way that agenda is structured is just trying to keep things moving forward while still keeping public input at a maximum.
Now, is that agenda, is that shown before the live stream, or how do people write it down? When do I call for this specific topic?
Absolutely. So it's on the city website.
Okay.
If you get on the mailing list, it goes out mass, has to be out a certain amount of time before the meeting. There's a legal requirement according to the Brown Act that it has to be legally filled out a certain way. And then once it's agendized and formal, then it gets put out to all the media. It gets put on the internet. It's posted even physically outside on the out on City Hall on the wall.
Okay.
So it's so there's a couple of different. So you can call in and participate that way, or you can get on YouTube and watch, and then call in at the. And we know because of COVID, since people cannot be inside, we try to leave a few minutes. Like we go, all right, we're gonna give a few minutes to call in, and then we'll wait. And then if it turns out you missed your window, we're usually pretty good about. Well, it's up to the mayor, right? But
sure.
It's his meeting, but usually pretty good about going. Oh, okay, they're a few minutes late. We can work them back into that time slot. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So overall, what do you think so far of your councilman spot?
About being on the council,
Yeah.
I think it's good to be here, right? I'm proud to be here. I'm proud of the city. I'm proud of everything the city's doing. I know a lot of people don't always see it, but the city is working hard for them every day. The city staff, every department, and that's all they do is they're trying to better the city every day. And so sometimes that's not rewarded enough, or that's not mentioned enough. And sometimes they don't even feel like they're, a lot of them aren't even paid as much as they should be for what they're doing.
Sure.
But they're still out there doing it, and they're still making it happen. And if you ever feel like your city's not doing something for you, get a hold of any one of us. Not just me, because I'm the one talking. Get a hold of any city council member, and they should be able to get back to you. So that should be through email, get on the website. I know I put my personal cell phone on the website, so anybody can get a hold of me. You can text, you can call. If you jump on social media, you can message me in any way, shape, or form, and some people do on multiple platforms.
Right.
Just to make sure I get the message.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's the way it should be. This is a small enough town that we can still, we don't live in LA where things are impersonal.
Right. There's no way to get a hold of any type of person that runs the government in LA.
No, right. But here in Ridgecrest,
send a letter and you'll get through 65 assistants. And
exactly. But here in Ridgecrest, I'm gonna see you in Albertsons or in Stater Brothers. We might be in line getting coffee together.
Right.
There's no reason why we can't, shouldn't have had some kind of dialogue. And it may take me personally. Sometimes it'll take me a day or two if I get swamped with emails or I get busy. I got a daytime job as well, but I always get back to people.
Yeah, it's been super awesome watching you grow as a council member. I was excited to have you on there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
thanks for being so open.
I've tried to be open. That was the first thing, and some really good advice was given to me as soon as I came on, and that was make the hard decisions and then stick to them. And that is not always an easy thing to do, especially if you have people who you believe are more experienced than you, or you believe have more knowledge than you, and they're telling you something, but in your gut you feel like you're making the right decision. Make that hard decision, even if it's unpopular. make that hard decision, stick to it, and people will respect you for it later.
Yeah.
I've seen that time and time again, that I've had people kind of grumble at something that I did, but I have that many more people come up to me later and shake my hand and go, you know what, that wasn't easy. Thanks for doing that.
Right.
You know, and that's not just me. I've seen it happen to every council member. Everybody faces those decisions where you have everybody wanting you to do one thing, but you got to try and do the right thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, right? Do the right thing.
When you can,
Right.
anytime you can.
Well, it's super cool that we get to have this conversation, and I feel like the council in general is just being more open with the city, things that are going on behind the scenes. Obviously, we're doing some cool stuff here. So.
This is real cool. And when I talked to Eric a little bit about this, I was super excited because I had a conversation with him. I called him, really worked up. Hey man, have you thought about this and you thought about that? And he was like, I'm on it.
That's awesome.
I'm working it. I'm already working this. Me and Nick we got the wheels turning. I'm like, great, because if I'm listening to other cities that have podcasts going on, and I'm listening to other cities that have, informational apps just for their city, I'm thinking, man, we got to get there. And he's like, let's do it. Let's figure it out.
That's great.
And that's the kind of council you want. You want people who are just trying to figure things out. Everybody votes for somebody because of their views, obviously, right?
Sure.
And every city council, every person up there, I'm sure, has a little bit different view of where the city should be. But as long as you're trying to improve the city, I think that's all that matters.
Right. Well, thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Sorry, I'm
Appreciate it.
not used to speaking live.
Hey, me either. This is our third episode, so.
Yeah. But this has been good, and I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, we'll have you back, too. Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Good. Awesome.
All right, guys. So thanks for tuning in, and share it, and let us know what you thought. Have a good night.